So, what's the verdict on Prehistoric Planet?
Hello and welcome back to Triple Gaming with me, Fletcher.
And welcome back to my final video on Prehistoric Planet, where I want to give a final rating on the series and also issue a few silly awards. But before we get into that, don't forget to like, comment, and if you are new here, please do subscribe for more content from all of us at Tricolor Gaming. Right, let's get stuck in. Now, I was uncertain how I wanted to review the series as a whole. So what I've decided to do is to go through what I think it does well, what I think it does badly, and then come up with a final conclusion. Please remember that this is my view of the series, and if you disagree, that's perfectly fine. Let me know in the comments why you disagree. So let's start with what the show does well. Probably the most important part of doing a documentary like this is the CGI, and Prehistoric Planet succeeds in this regard 100%. The sheer level of detail put into each and every animal is extraordinary. From the smallest Mononychus to the largest Dreadnoughtus, the quality of the dinosaurs' models, their scales and their feathers, and how well they are blended into the backdrops is really impressive, and certainly demonstrates just how far the technology's come on since the days of walking with dinosaurs. And connected to the CGI, the models of the dinosaurs themselves are 100% on point, from the chunky Tyrannosaurus with its light dusting of fluff, to the fully feathered Ornithomimus, to the long-necked plesiosaurs. Every episode gave its creatures a unique and new flair that made loving dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals feel like new again. It must also be said that the modern flair to many of these animals, including how common feathers are, may be a little strange to some people, and I will come back to this, but it adds further intrigue. I certainly don't think it makes them look gay, as I saw written in one Rotten Tomatoes post. It is also interesting that we get quite a range of species from all over the world, and they have colour, at last a show that knows that dinosaurs don't all have to be brown or grey to look realistic. The skins on these animals are glorious, and I look forward to seeing them copied by Jurassic World Evolution 2 modders. Added to the wonderful models are the behaviours that we see. There's quite a range of behaviours on screen with some new and wonderful ideas. Top of my list are the Mosasaur cleaning station, the Carnotaurus's dance, and the romantic T-Rex. Now, there are some things I want to mention in behaviours on the other side, but on the whole there's a lot to praise about it. David Attenborough is a national treasure for us Brits, and his sterling work continues in this programme. While sometimes I think he lacks the excitement that, say, Kenneth Branagh had in Walking with Dinosaurs, I think in general his narration is perfect for a documentary like this and adds that further detail of realism. There are very few other people I would have put in David's place. The score for this series has been great. Hans Zimmer brings all his expertise and creates a truly amazing soundtrack. My highlights are definitely the opening theme music, the music that plays for the Therizinosaurus youngsters, and the dogfighting pterosaur themes. Walking with Dinosaurs had great music, and many of its theme tunes I still love to this day. I look forward to getting Prehistoric Planet's music to add to my collection. The range of biomes is also a good thing about the series, although I do want to mention this again in a moment. And again, it adds that very familiar Attenborough feel to this documentary series, making it very watchable and easy to get into. There is a great deal to enjoy about the series, but I do think there's a few aspects that could be better. Now, I accept that a main component of the series is to move away from the depiction of dinosaurs as movie monsters, but I do think that the series has gone too far the other way. There are only 2 dinosaur-on-dinosaur hunts that we get to see in the show, dressed up as full-scale hunts, and both times there is a degree of censoring involved. This is a far cry from Walking with Dinosaurs, where we were usually up close and personal to the hunts and the kills, and it's also a far cry from the usual documentaries, where it's common to watch crocodiles and lions take down prey at close range, and usually including physical injury and blood. The lack of that in this show is surprising, and I think it detracts from the rest of the realistic portrayals. It is surprising, for example, that we have both T-Rex and Tarbosaurus on screen, however neither take part in a hunt. Hunting is a part of nature after all. Something else that I want to mention related to the lack of violence is that every episode does seem to repeat its focus on certain behaviours or scenarios. Most episodes will feature baby dinosaurs, most episodes will feature dinosaurs attempting to get mates, most episodes will feature a fight between members of the same species of dinosaur. With each episode you start to feel that they're obeying the same process and it starts to feel a little formulaic. I think that in one way of solving this would have been to focus on fewer animals and give us more in-depth looks at their behaviours, similar to how Walking with Dinosaurs did it. Attached to the repeated behaviours is the use of modern day animals guiding the behaviours. Now obviously when it comes to dinosaur behaviour we have to use current animals as a basis. However in this show it starts to become more and more obvious where they're getting their ideas from, and it does start to distract a little when you can watch each episode and start to point out which real life animal the dinosaur's behaviour is based on. So this might be a little controversial, but I want to mention it anyway. There is a lot of baby death and baby trauma in this series. In almost every episode, baby dinosaurs are either put at risk of death or killed off, and some of these deaths are pretty horrible. While I appreciate that being a baby dinosaur meant a low chance of survival, the excessive amounts in this documentary starts to come across as trying to be emotionally manipulative of the audience somewhat. So this is one of the bigger flaws with the series for me. It focuses only on the very late Cretaceous in terms of the species that we see, specifically those from around 66 million years ago. This means that in terms of the dinosaurs' reign, we only get to see the very end. Given that dinosaurs existed on this planet for around 150 million years, to only focus on this very small time period feels a bit reductionist. It also means that we miss a great deal of things. There is not a single stegosaurian species depicted in the documentary at all. We also do not get to see any big ticket dinosaurs here, including Diplodocus, Brachiosaurus or Allosaurus. And attached to this is the overexposure of some dinosaur groups at the expense of others. Titanosaurs and sauropods are heavily depicted, as are hadrosaurs and large pterosaurs. Meanwhile, ankylosaurs and ornithomimids are underrepresented, and pachycephalosaurs are absent entirely. And there are no smaller species of pterosaurs depicted either. In terms of species representation, I think the show could have done better. So this one is a pretty minor criticism. Of all the biomes we got, I was surprised that we did not get a more heavily ocean-orientated episode. In fact, I think I would have preferred an ocean-heavy episode to the Ice World one. While the Coasts episode gave us a little marine focus, I think that having a fully ocean-based episode studying various aspects of the marine life in this period would have been great to have. Now there are a few other general points that I want to mention here that are neither good or bad, but are worth discussion. Firstly, the feathers issue. I have seen quite a lot of discussion from folks that the excessive use of feathers on these animals is not in line with current science. I do have to agree with the general idea that just because we know some dinosaurs had feathers doesn't mean that they all had feathers. That being said, the show does present a lot of dinosaurs without feathers, and generally sticks to putting feathers on the theropods or the bird-related species. And there are examples of theropods that do not have feathers in the show. And to that individual who said stick feathers on a crocodile and look how stupid it looks, you're a moron. Also, crocodiles are only distant relatives of dinosaurs. Birds are a lot closer. May I suggest you do some reading of academic sources better than Jurassic World fanfiction? Secondly, the sound design for the animals. While a lot of the sound design is on point, there were one or two oddities that I noticed. The animals all walk around with not very much noise or bass at all. Sauropods weighing 60 tons or more walk past the camera shot quiet as a passing cat. It's sometimes felt that these animals weigh very little. The dinosaurs themselves make very few noises in general also, and spend a lot of time being quiet. Again, while perhaps realistic, it is noticeable just how quiet they are. I think something they could have done was more low-level rumbles and ultrasound effects, which is what the current science believes most dinosaurs used for vocalization. And while roars might be unrealistic, it would have been nice to at least get one proper T-Rex roar just for fun. Now, the final thing I want to discuss relates to the question of, is this a modern Walking with Dinosaurs? I want to look into this as it's only natural that these programs would get compared. Now, something important to consider between them is how they construct their narratives. If I may delve into my university education a little bit, narrative is a vital component of much of human life and is used almost everywhere all of the time. Much of our culture and understanding depends on narrative structure. Both Walking with Dinosaurs and Prehistoric Planet presents its episodes using narrative, but in very different ways. Let's just go through a few short examples. Episode 2 of Walking with Dinosaurs uses the fairly typical narrative structure of a hero's journey. Our protagonist, the female Diplodocus, is the main focus of the episode. We see her be born and the episode follows her life. She faces many trials and challenges as she grows, from predatory dinosaurs to natural disasters, and at the very end of the episode she becomes mature, mates, and takes her place as a full member of the herd after seeing off the Allosaurus, which in this episode is as close to as an antagonist as we get. Episode 4, meanwhile, plays out almost like a murder mystery. We know that the Ornithocheirus will die, and the episode plays out the very last few days of its life, answering the question of how and why did it die. By the end of the episode, we're aware of all of the facts, and the mystery is solved. Prehistoric Planet, meanwhile, features snapshots of creatures' lives, small short periods of behaviour or challenges which, while alone, do very little, when brought together create an overview of the specific biome the episode is focusing on. Each of these small stories are also commonly joined together with a bigger idea. For example, in the Coast episode, we see how each creature in the episode relies on and takes advantage of the coast's bounty. In the Deserts episode, we see how the challenges of existing in such a climate brings animals together in a unique and intimate way. On their own, these small, short scenes are not very powerful, but when they're all brought together and on a grander scale, you can take all of the episodes themselves and bring them together to create a larger macro scale of the world at that time. Two very different structures, each with its advantages and disadvantages. Walking with Dinosaurs' narrative style is a lot more focused on particular animals, which means we get more behaviours and more of their life. But at the same time, Prehistoric Planet style means we get a larger range of animals being depicted. If I were to pick what style I think is best, I honestly have to say that I think Walking with Dinosaurs is the better style of narrative. While Prehistoric Planet style is more in line with modern day nature programs, I think that Walking with Dinosaurs' style, looking in depth at a smaller variety of animals in a quality over quantity, is better for me. That being said, I also think that Prehistoric Planet's more realistic nature documentary style works very well too. I think a combination of the two styles would have been perfect. So with all this being said, let's look at my final thoughts before we get to the awards. Prehistoric Planet is certainly a strong contender for the best prehistoric nature documentary of all time. It has refreshed the image of the dinosaurs in the same way as Walking with Dinosaurs did 20 years ago. It has brought the science forwards, and it's made loving dinosaurs feel fresh and exciting again. Dinosaur fans often get the short stick. Prehistoric Planet is not just impressive as dinosaur media, but impressive on so many other levels, from its CGI to its music. It's one of the best series I've seen in a long time. Is it worth Apple TV's subscription price? That's harder to answer. However, the minute this comes out on DVD, if it does come out on DVD, I'd suggest getting it. Put it next to Walking with Dinosaurs, and when you have kids who want to know what a dinosaur is, show them both. Prehistoric Planet is brilliant. Now then, on to the awards. So I want to give out a few mock awards for different aspects of Prehistoric Planet in different categories. There are a few that are my own and a few from the members of the Triclaw community. If you're not already joined the Discord, there's a link below. So category number 1 comes from me, and it's the award for the best single scene. I've selected one contender from each episode. From Coasts, the Mosasaurus cleaning station. From deserts, the Tarbosaurus Oasis. From fresh water, the Romantic T-Rex. From Ice World, the Antarctopelta Cave. And from forests, the Triceratops Caves. And the winner is... the Mosasaurus cleaning station. I love this scene, watching this huge Indominus killer getting spruced up for mating season, rolling around for belly rubs and then fighting off a rival with that triumphant ascent out of the sand clouds. Perfect. Next award is for the cutest creature, and there's quite a few options here. But for me, the winner is... Mononicus. This guy is adorable. Its colours mirroring a barn owl and the quality of its CGI makes it damn cute. I would like to say that the Antarctopelta is easily a close runner-up for me, and it's nice that Ankylosaurus gets some good screen time. Next award is for the best music theme. Hans Zimmer's music throughout all of this show is brilliant, and picking a winner is incredibly difficult, so I've picked two. The first I want to give an award to is the main Prehistoric Planet theme, which plays during Attenborough's intro. It delivers the gravitas needed for a show like this. Second theme I want to give an award to is the Carnotaurus dance theme. Its joyful tones match the ridiculousness of the dance, which still makes me laugh every time I see it. Now, the next award was suggested by Herman Craft off the Triclaw Discord. He suggested the most horrific scene. Prehistoric Planet does not have too many awful scenes, but there's a few that do shock. For example, the Dreadnoughtus biting and scraping each other's necks is pretty ugly, and the mass of mosquitoes literally blood-sucking a baby Allura Titan to death is equally awful. However, the award for the most horrific scene goes to... the Devil Toad, the Elzebufo, and it's seen in episode 3. Seeing this giant toad in slow motion grabbing the poor Maziochisaurus baby with its tongue and swallowing it whole and alive was pretty horrific. Next award is for the best kill, hunt or fight in the show as suggested by Blue, another member of the Triclaw Discord. Now the program doesn't have too many of these to pick from however, but I think the best one is... the Velociraptor versus the Pterosaurs hunt and kill. The danger in hunting on these cliffs is coupled with the raptors using their feathered arms and tails to assist in their climbing. The raptors also look glorious, and it was great to see them again pack hunting. Next award is for the behaviour that we would most like to see in Jurassic World Evolution 2. Now there were a lot of behaviours in Prehistoric Kingdom that would add interest, but for me, the winning behaviour I would like to see is... the plesiosaurs sifting for rocks and pebbles. The aquatics in Jurassic World Evolution 2 badly need some improvements, and more behaviours like this would definitely help. As an additional, I would also love to see the concept of salt and clay licks be brought as an enrichment item for the dinosaur enclosures. And now we get to the biggest award of the video, the best creature design. Now there were so many options here, from the feathered Velociraptor to the sheer scale of the Hepsogopteryx. There was also the super chunky T-Rex and the long-furred Dinocheirus. However, I wanted to give the best creature design to something I think people might overlook. The winner for me is the Ammonites in episode 1. These wonderful mollusks were so decorative with their bioluminescence, and their story of their mating dances being the end of their lives, and by the next morning the beaches being covered in dead ammonites is strangely sad. I love their design, and I would love to see them added to our Jurassic World 2 lagoons as just some ambient life in the background. So there we go, my final thoughts on Prehistoric Planet. Will we get another season? I don't know. David Attenborough really doesn't do multiple seasons of the same documentary, so if they do, they might need a new narrator. But even if they don't do additional seasons, it was still great to have a proper dinosaur documentary back on screen, in the vein of Walking with Dinosaurs. Let me know in the comments what you think about the show and what would win the awards for you. And if you haven't already done so, please remember to like, and if you're new here, subscribe for more content from us at Triclaw Gaming. Until the next video, stay safe and goodbye.